Sigmund Freud, significantly. Hello, welcome to Sandra's Shelf. Today, we're going to talk about 20 simple ways that you can refresh your life. So I'm going to break this down into 5 categories. First category is digital cleaning and detox. Second category is cleaning and organizing. Third category is new and healthy daily habits. And the fourth category is creativity. And the fifth category and final category is connectivity. Alright, so let's jump right into digital cleaning and detox. So the first thing to do is have a social media detox. So let's face it, we spend a lot of our times online, so we cloud up the online spaces. Especially now more than ever as we're all working from home. Many of us are consistently and hourly connected to the internet and to the online world. And we're basically always to our devices, whether it be our phone, our laptops, our desktops. What I'm trying to say is that you don't have to go offline for a month or a week or etc. Because it's almost impossible nowadays to even do that. The solution that I'm offering instead is to maybe take one day out of your week off the internet. This one day that you keep only in the present moment and for yourself can do a lot for your mental and physical health. You can find yourself doing more activities in that day. You could be engaging in sports or a workout without having to worry to be online or checking online sources. It can also help your productivity level and your creativity as you kind of refresh and you're not seeing other people's work or other people's lives. And that's why sometimes just unplugging for one day can help boost your productivity levels as well as regulate your emotional levels too. I think as humans, we're not meant to be bombarded all the time by information and images and pictures and videos and stories, because at the end, they cloud all of our mental and emotional spaces offline. What we see online sometimes and what we consume online sometimes does translate into our offline world. So you can try to challenge yourself and take one day fully off social media, or 12 hours or 16 hours, whatever you would like. You can do this by turning your devices on airplane mode, but if that's too extreme for you, you can just take off the internet. I really do think that doing this might give you some inner peace and give you a new perspective as well as refresh your life. Sometimes I even find myself deactivating some accounts because they cloud too much of my space. I feel like I'm constantly checking in those accounts, but it's not adding value to my life, nor does it add value to the relationships I'm supposed to be close with. This brings us to my second tip, which is to declutter your apps and your social media accounts. As I said, I think you should unfollow people that do not add value to your life. This does not have the intention of being mean or rude. But some people you just don't know personally enough to have them in your online spaces. Also, on the flip side, following too many influencers in our social media accounts can actually rob us from the well-being and gratitude we experience in our own lives. Sometimes it's actually harmful to our health, as we often find ourselves into comparison mode or even unrealistic ideals of how we should be living our lives. The story is as old as time, which is that appearances are not always what they seem. Life online has become increasingly a story or a version of the story or a version of the truth, and then we like to internalize that. But truth is that no matter what, online or offline, everyone's lives are not exactly how they seem. That's not to say that we're trying to be intentionally deceitful, but we're obviously trying to represent the better parts of life. Sometimes influencers or whoever else that we're following actually discourage us in our own personal journey, whereas other times they do encourage us, so that's when we should be keeping them and following up with them. At the end, you have to make a judgment of your own emotions and your own well-being. So it's not only about unfollowing people on social media, but it's also about deleting apps on your phone that have been there for years. There are some apps on our phone that we just simply do not use anymore. And I think having a clean phone space, because we use our phone that much in our daily lives, can help us actually feel more focused and centered. When you have too many apps on your phone, you can find yourself flipping to apps mindlessly without even knowing. But say you don't want to spend that much time on Twitter, I would recommend deleting the Twitter app from your phone and just checking in on Twitter from the browser. And for the apps that you've had for years and you haven't opened, you can always delete them and then reinstall them whenever you need to use them. I think that makes much more sense than holding on to a multiplicity of apps that we no longer use. Because sometimes even having a crowded space on your phone can even cloud your mind. Minimalizing clutter in any shape or form actually refreshes your life. It actually refocuses your life on the things that are most important to you and most valuable. So my third little tip is to also clean your notes app and or to clean your desktop as well. I don't know about you guys, but I work online and every few days I have an accumulation of downloads on my download folder. And if I don't clean that every few days, then I just don't want to do the job. And then on a daily basis, I find myself struggling to find exactly what I want to find on my desktop or on my downloads folder. So if you take that time, say weekly or daily, to even clean or sort things to your desktop or to your download folders, it will significantly help you in your daily life. I feel so relieved when I clean all those downloads or when I clean my desktop that I actually feel like doing work again. And I know I'm not the only person that feels that. Like sometimes when you have way too many files on your desktop or on your downloads or whatever it is, you might not feel like attacking all that because it just seems too daunting. But by cleaning and dividing the tasks that you have to do in different areas, it helps you tackle one task after another. As human beings, we can focus on many things at once, but we often ignore that the best course of action is to tackle one thing at a time. My fourth tip is to go through your emails. I don't know, if you thought that I was not gonna mention emails in this video, you are sorely wrong. Because emails have the clout to clutter. Email marketing is not dead, and emails are used for work, for school, professional endeavors, and that's not gonna change anytime soon. So we need to get a handle on our emails. If not, our inbox is always gonna intimidate us. And oh my God, please, I am begging you, do yourself a favor, unsubscribe from those subscriptions that cloud your inbox. Like seriously, I had this subscription from 5 years back, and for some reason I would not unsubscribe. I would find myself deleting 1 or 2 emails from them every single day for 5 years. I don't even want to do the math on how many emails I just deleted without opening. So unsubscribe to email subscriptions that you don't look at because it's the same thing as apps. You need to understand when you outgrow something or when you just simply do not have time for something. When you manage your emails and you set up even folders, you don't have to read every email. You actually can break up the task in which you say, okay, Monday I'll read emails from this brand and Tuesday I'll read emails from this other brand. And look at that, you've gone through all your email, your inbox is clean, and you can just do this weekly and not be overwhelmed by it. Okay, this next one was bound to come up as well, which is tip number 5, clean all of your camera rolls. If you're doing an online business, you already know how important this is, because if you just keep your camera roll full all the time, you're going to find yourself in risky situations. Situations in which you delete the wrong footage, you lose footage, you can't find something, and etc. Basically, what I try to do is to have a cleanup of my footage every week. So that involves my desktop, my phone, my camera, everything. And then I'll have a large cleanup at the end of every month in which I'll do like a big external hard drive backup. I seriously cannot have any one of my camera rolls more than 500 files at a time, because then I just start to shut down and I don't want to clean it. I don't want to go through all that. The other thing is sometimes we do take screenshots as well. And I think it's important to distinguish which screenshots should be kept and which ones should be deleted. Say if I take a screenshot of a book that someone is reading because I find it interesting, I will then transfer that said book on my Goodreads account and then I'll delete the screenshot of the photo. There's no need for me to have 50 screenshots of books that I want to read. I can just migrate that to a clear and concise list and have it there instead of having 50 random photos of other people's books. Alright, so the next one, tip number 6, is to clean your contacts. We've already cleaned our emails, our apps, our social media accounts. Now we need to clean our contacts. Honestly, friend to friend here, just me and you talking, delete your ex. Like seriously, just do it. I'm giving you permission. Like this is my permission slip. You already know, just do it. Think of Nike, just do it. Just delete him, just delete her. just delete. But honestly, do not need all of those contacts. It's the same thing. If you haven't spoken to someone in over 2-3 years, even 5 years, I highly doubt that you will speak to them, and if you do, they most likely will reach you on social media accounts. Granted. So don't be afraid and delete people. Say you're at a new job. Why would you need contacts from a job that you've had 3 years ago? Unless you're actually keeping contact and unless you're close friends with these people. The same thing to do with university. Unless you're close with these university people or these university friends, you most likely have them on Instagram or Facebook or etc. And you're just hoarding contacts for no reason. I feel like when you minimize your contacts, you know who's actually valuable and who's close to you in life. Because everyone else has 24/7 access of us if we think about it. Our profiles are up online, there's messaging online, there's activity status online. So why would you want to have all of those people as well on your contacts? Because say you want to take a break from online, only the people closest to you will reach out to you anyways. Then you can remember who's really important in your life and which relationship you really want to harness and grow. Okay, the other tip sounds weird, but bear with me. So tip number 7 is to change your wallpapers. I don't know why this works, but this actually works because we get too habituated of the things that we see all the time. So having a change, even as small and slight as changing your wallpaper, can give you a fresh perspective on your life and on your goals. So at every start of the year, I create a new vision board. And I guarantee you, if I had the same vision board as last year, like exactly the same, then that shows me that either I'm very stagnant in my goals or I'm permitting myself not to achieve those goals because they keep coming back. Kind of the same concept with wallpapers, because if you just keep seeing the same thing every day and every day and every day and every day, you kind of develop that stagnancy where you cannot refresh your life because it's always the same. Changing your wallpapers on your phone or on your desktop can give you that little spark of newness. It's almost the same sentiment when we change our profile pictures after 1 or 2 years, where we think, oh, look, I've changed, I've grown, I look different, I feel different. Why not have a new picture to represent me? So it's the same concept when it comes to vision boards or changing your wallpapers. I personally like to use Canva to make all of my vision boards and as well to have different wallpapers on my phone. Canva is a free digital platform and it's amazing for online entrepreneurs. I have Canva linked down below just for you to look at it to see if it interests you. So part 2 is cleaning and organizing. So tip number 8 is to clean your workspace. So as cliche as it sounds, cleaning your workspace can actually refresh your life even daily. Sometimes when you're working in your workspace and you see that mess, it kind of makes you want to procrastinate because it's so messy. So you kind of internalize all that mess inside of you. If you get rid of all of that mess, there's no more excuses for you to procrastinate while you're doing work. You need to keep your workspace a distraction-free zone. Alright, so tip number 9 to refresh your life is to clean different areas of your house gradually. Try cleaning different sections of your home one by one. Like that, you don't have to tackle everything in one day because then you're gonna feel burned out. If you tell yourself, okay, this week I'm gonna clean my closet and next week I'm gonna clean the pantry, you're more likely to do it. And this is the same concept of gradually cleaning your desk and workspace, as well as I said with your emails and your apps. If you do this in increments and you keep it up every week, then you won't find yourself in a situation where you have too much to do and too much to clean and too much to organize. Tip number 10 is again another hard tip, but here it is. I'm giving you the permission slip once more to get rid of stuff. Just get rid of it. There's a reason why a lot of people are leaning towards minimalism. It's because we don't need that much stuff. More stuff equals more clutter, equals more responsibility, equals more money, etc. I'm not saying to get rid of everything because that would be ridiculous, but I'm saying to get rid of the things that don't add value to your life. This is not to say to get rid of sentimental items that you've had for decades, but to get rid of things that you just don't use, clothes and books and whatnot. The stuff that's been accumulating for years and that you just don't foresee yourself using or wearing or whatever it is. Additionally, those items can be passed down or gifted, or as well they can be donated. They'll have a second use, or they'll have a better use than sitting in your closet or sitting on your shelf, whatever it is. We've reached part 3, which is new healthy daily habits. Tip number 11 is to set new morning and nighttime routines. Sometimes we don't realize that the routines that we already have are not effective for us anymore. Sometimes we're actually long overgrown those routines. So spicing things up or changing things a little bit around might actually help us refresh our lives. You might actually ignite new passions, and you might also boost your productivity level without even knowing. I'll give you an example of this. Before, I didn't really have a nighttime routine. My nighttime routine would be simply like washing my face, brushing and flossing my teeth, and going to bed. But then gradually something happened. When I went to bed, I actually could not go to bed anymore. I would be scrolling on my phone for 2-3 hours. Then I took the initiative to change my nighttime routine. I still do the hygiene stuff, but I don't touch my phone after 9 p.m. Instead, what I started doing is reading physical books right before bed. I read always and all the time, but putting that physical reading right before bed has helped me tremendously in my nighttime routine as well as my morning time routine. This leads us to tip number 12, which is try to sleep earlier. I know we have night owls on this video and they're gonna hate this, but there is something to be said of turning your brain on and off according to the light that is outside. When we do work when it's light out, we feel more refreshed and productive. But even cracking in on work an hour or two before light starts coming in can make us feel like we've tackled already a big task in the day. Sleep is really important, so I think if you set up a routine of sleeping earlier and waking up earlier, it might guarantee you enough time to actually sleep. Because I know personally, if I'm waking up at 6 a.m., after 2 or 3 days of doing that, I will finally start sleeping by 10 p.m. without even noticing. And having a consistent sleep schedule refreshes you. So tip number 13 is to make lists. So if you're anything like me, you might have bullet journals and goals and vision boards. But at the end of the day, I think sometimes we need to make daily to-do lists. Because we take out from what's in here of all the things we should be doing and we lay it out on paper. Then we have actionable plans in order to complete everything we have to do during the day. On days that I wake up and I don't really have a plan, I feel more overwhelmed because I know there are at least 20 things I should be doing. But by making lists and breaking up big goals in small little tasks, I believe we accomplish much more in doing so. Alright, so part 4 involves creativity. Tip number 14 might sound weird, but bear with me. Tip number 14 is to create a new playlist. This is the same idea as the new wallpaper, but you have a new playlist. If you're someone who loves music, you might feel more refreshed at having new songs or a new playlist while you're working, or while you're thinking, or whatever you're doing. Sometimes having a designated playlist for designated things that we're doing actually gets us in the mindset and in the mood of tackling that project. I have a playlist for writing, I have a playlist for reading, I have a playlist for working out, and I have a playlist while I'm working. When those songs come on the playlist, I know, oh, I should be doing this. And it actually helps. But sometimes, if I get used to the songs after a year or so, I need to change things up in order to get re-excited about the things that I'm doing. Sometimes we even make playlists according to the season or our mood and whatever it is, and that actually helps us as we're going through it. So number 15 is actually to journal. Journaling might not seem very creative, but it is because it's a new way of releasing the thoughts and negativity that you have inside of your head and heart. Writing in general can be very therapeutic, and by journaling, you can let go of your emotional and mental clutter as well. It's actually a very creative way of going about it. And with journaling, you can evaluate your moods and your productivity, and you can analyze what have you done differently today than yesterday that got you passionate about whatever you're doing. Sometimes when you have trackers in your journal, it helps you understand what you're going through and what works for you as well as what doesn't work for you. I've personally been journaling for over a decade now, and I can't imagine my life without it. It has helped me a lot through different hurdles and different moments of stagnancy in my life. So number 16 sounds a little bit crazy, but it's super exciting. Number 16 is to find a new hobby. Now listen to this. A lot of our hobbies and our skills nowadays are used for marketing. It's sad to say, but at the same time, it's kind of a good thing because it holds us accountable to do the stuff that we love doing, but as well, we can start making an income out of it. However, we might find ourselves in a drought because when everything you do is for the sole purpose of posting online or creating online, it can be hard to do something for yourself. So when I say find a new hobby, I mean like do that one thing that you've always wanted to do, but you've always been afraid of or you don't know how to do at all, and do it completely offline. Do it completely for yourself. Because in that sense, you can experiment, you can fail, you can succeed all on your own, and it's liberating. It refreshes you from the day-to-day hobbies and skills that you are already excelling at. It actually gives you a fun challenge, and in doing so, you might even learn more about yourself. So say for example, one of these new skills can be sports related or instrument related or any other field of creativity or hobby that you enjoy. It could even be marathoning movies. Like say there's a genre of movies that you've always wanted to get into, but you never gave yourself time because you don't think it's productive enough. Why not do it? Watch that movie once a week. Why not? It might help you gain new perspective. Tip number 17 is to redecorate. Now hear me out. I know a lot of us don't have the money or the time to redecorate, but you can do so many DIY, do-it-yourself projects that will redecorate your spaces. Simply even changing the layouts of your room is considered redecorated. Because when you've seen something always in one way, it's interesting to see it in another way. You can take out decoration from your storage room. You can even hang free online prints, whatever it is. There are so many options of things you can do at home without spending too much money or time in order to redecorate. This redecoration can really brighten up your spaces. It's the same thing when you change your playlist or your wallpaper or something in your room. We reached the last and final part, which is part 5, and it's on connectivity. So tip number 18 is to change your headspace. Now, this is probably the hardest tip, but it can be done. Changing your headspace is really challenging, but once you're conscious and you're trying to put the effort, it will happen. There are some activities that we can do that actually help us change our mental headspace. Activities such as writing, reading, going outside, exploring nature, meditating are all good examples. Even listening or watching something you normally wouldn't can help change your headspace. So you can listen to a podcast you normally wouldn't listen to. Say you like books, but then you start listening to a podcast that talks about science. You will be surprised about how much that can improve and change your headspace just because it's something you're not familiar with. Alright, so tip number 19 has to go to nature. There are so many quotes about man being in nature, and there's a reason for that. Nature really connects us to the earth and to ourselves. For one reason or another, being in solitude in nature or with someone else can actually reconnect you to your roots, much like a tree. The reason why I say go into nature is because it's much more feasible than going traveling. Traveling requires so many things that most of us cannot afford, but going into nature can be as simple as going to your local park. Exploring the outdoors or just simply taking walks can really reconnect you with your life and with the world around you. It is because nature offers this peace and hopefulness and this stillness that we often crave, but we do not have in our day-to-day lives. That's why after going to nature, you feel refreshed. Plus, it might be something to do with all that oxygen. Just saying. Nature offers so many wonders as well as insights into your own life. My last and final tip, tip number 20, is to call your loved ones. This sounds evident and easy, but actually what I mean is to have an intentional talk with someone you really love. I already shared with you that you should clean your contacts and unfollow people that are not helpful or valuable to your life. But all this new space is to allow you to reconnect with yourself and to the people you really love. When you have a phone call with a loved one and you skip the day-to-day formalities that you can see on a story, you start to talk about what's really inside your heart, what has been egging you on your mind. You start to gain new perspective and new focus, as well as you start feeling really connected and close with that person. Sometimes when you have these talks, you can have a different voice to help you refresh your life. Me and my best friend were very busy. But when we talk, and we talk every second week or so, we have an hour-long conversation where we really truly talk about things that are really important, and we encourage each other in our journeys and our personal goals. After those talks, I really feel much more refreshed than if I was scrolling 3 hours on Instagram consuming stories of people I don't really know. I'm not saying to delete all your social media. I'm not anti-social media or anything. Instead, what I'm saying is that we need to be mindful of the connections that we do have offline. Alright, so that's the end of my video on how to refresh your life in 20 simple ways. I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found something that's useful to you. Please let me know down below what are ways that you use to refresh your own life. Please share it down below with others because you never know if your way works for them. So for now, I'm signing off because I have to go clean my camera roll from all these videotapes. But I'm excited to see what you guys come up with down below. Goodbye and see you on the next shelf.